Hi Charlotte, you're doing a video case study on someone called Jill Worsdell. You've met them and had a cup of coffee with them and found a little bit out about their lives. Can you just tell me about her?
Well, Jill's somebody who kind of came along and she really needs to just modernise some of her skills. She used to work in a secretarial role before she went off and had children and then just took jobs to fit around her kids. And they've all just kind of left home. Some of them have gone to university, some have gone abroad. And so she only really had typewriting and handwriting skills because of how long ago it obviously has been since she has been in an office environment, really. And so she came along and just wanted to gain some basic skills, learn a bit about spreadsheets, especially because her husband was really quite wealthy, but then due to the recession has had to take a bit of a pay cut, and that's what spurred Jill on to go back into work. And she wanted to learn a bit about spreadsheets and emails with a view to maybe, you know, helping out with the household budget and just like kind of getting some basic office admin skills, because that's where she wants to go back into.
Really helpful. That's quite a lot of information you've collected from her, and that's all come from the sort of pre-interview discussions where it's important to get to know the person you're going to interview a little bit, just to make them at ease and to actually pick their brains and find out what their journey's been about, which is what a case study is. Okay, so what I've been taking some notes, and I've produced a storyline. Hopefully now you can see my storyline on the screen.
Yes, I can see
so
that storyline.
What you were telling me was Jill basically took time off work to have children. She was able not to go back to work because her husband was doing quite well, but he's not doing so well at the moment because of the recession. So her children have all left home to go off and do what children do. And she's kind of getting back into work, and so she sees IT skills and being modernised as her first training objective so that she can start applying for jobs. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I would definitely say that that's what she gave me the impression that was why she came along.
Okay, good. So I've got that storyline on the screen, and we want to produce a case study that's, say, 1.5, maybe 2 minutes long, no longer. This is an individual learner-to-learner case study. So the first things that you do is think about the 1.5 minutes. Well, obviously, at the beginning and end, hopefully you can see the lines I'm drawing quite carefully. It's fairly easy to deal with to start with. For example, the beginning is the intro. So in here, the red line points to, you're going to put the introduction. That's straightforward. I'm not going to spend very long on that. That might only last 10 seconds. There'll be a couple of frames there whereby, which you'll do later, which you'll put the name and title of the person and whatever other information you want on that screen. And that person will be saying, hello, I'm Jill Worsdell, and whatever information they want to say about themselves, but very, very limited, literally, hello, I am. So that's sort of 10 seconds. At the end, you've got the sort of opposite, which is the wrap-up, and again, that's just going to be kind of, not a summary, because that will take too long, probably 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds saying, so Jill's really gained out of doing so-and-so and now feels that she can go on. So it's a kind of end point. So it's a summary, end points. Next steps is always a good way of looking at the end of something. What am I going to do now? What have I just achieved? In fact, achievements could be in there, but equally will come in the main body. So they're fairly straightforward, and you've probably done 15, 25 seconds. So we're down to around a minute and a little bit, up to a minute and a half in here, which sounds not very much, but it's a lot in video terms. So here we've got Jill is someone who took time off work to have children and was then able to afford not to work because she had a wealthy husband. That's sort of statement one. And then things took a turn for the worse. That's statement two. And now she's had to return to work. So those are kind of three components of your storyline. So we need to get them all down. This is just to help you organise when you're actually thinking, right, what do I video, what do I record, what do I edit in? So I'm just going to have to change my tool again. In this first section here, to the left, fairly obviously you've got hello, I'm Jill. Then here you want a bit of background, the history, the historical component. What she was doing, where she worked, how good she was, anything she wants to say about her personal history, what she was doing, circumstances. And then I was promoted or I wasn't promoted, whatever the personal story is. What that does is it helps the interviewee feel comfortable because they're talking about something that happened in their lives, so it's not controversial. It's not, you can't argue about it. It's their lives, their memories. They can just tell you a little bit, and they'll calm down, and they're talking from a position of strength. The second statement is then due to the financial climate. I don't want her to read these out or say these specifically, but it gives you a structure then to say, so it sounds like it was going really well. What happened next? So, again, just changing tool. In the second component, in here, might be then something happened. Usually in these case studies, something happened. I got married, I had children, my children left home, I had a car crash, I contracted such and such a disease. There'll be quite often something that changed someone's life. Not always bad. Sometimes good, and then things don't always work out, or sometimes good, and then you decide you do want to go back to work. But that gives you a chance for her to say, well, the economic climate's doing well, and so, and this is good. Children have all left home, blah, blah, blah. Which is very straightforward for you, interview her. And then, into the third section, bring it into the present. So what have you decided? Sort of questions. Where are you at now? What's happening now? How did you hear about? She'll say, well, I need to go back to work. Okay, so how did you go about that? What did you do? So what you're trying to do is recreate a storyline, a storyboard here that will tell the learner, the individual that's watching this, that thinks, that could be me. I identify. That's obviously what all communication is about. This is not all communication. The viewer is identifying with this case study and thinking, well, if she can, I can. How did you get started? So then you're leading them into, well, I asked around, or I'd got a friend at the local college, or I asked so-and-so, and they said that there were a number of centres where I could learn how to use the internet and IT, and it was free or very cheap. So I've been going down there for blah, 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 and this has happened, and that's been very good, and they're very friendly. So you get all the good news stories in that middle component. So you've covered your three statements in the storyline, and then the key one of all, this is the real hub of what will motivate other people to do similar things. This is the reflection, retrospective. This part is sometimes harder to get the interviewee to think about, so it's something you might have talked gently around before the interview about what have you learned, what would you do different, how easy was it, what was hard, what were the obstacles, how did you overcome them, what did you have to do. It might